Hey, get your Fortress America out of my Axis and Allies.
Get your Axis and allies out of my Fortress America.
Welcome to episode 233 of Nerdery and Murdery.
Big 233. I'm Zig with your Nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdery. Welcome to another week of the highs and lows, the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and the nerd and the murd. Want to welcome back in again Keith, who, for those of you who have purchased the book Prime Numbers, he is the inspiration behind Khan, one of the main characters in Prime Numbers. So welcome, Keith.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hope everybody that's reading that is enjoying it, getting good positive reviews so far. My mother called me yesterday, and she's reading the book, and there's a part in the book where one of the main characters, actually two of the main characters, get very seriously hurt. I'm not going to say it here for those who are still reading it, but she called me up and she goes, "Do they die?" I was like, "Well, I guess you're going to have to read on."
That's why you read to the end,
Yes,
Barbara.
Yes.
Damn it. You're watching the same movie I'm watching.
Yes.
Oh,
That's what it gets. That's what it gets me every time. Chelsea's like, "Well, what's happening here? You're watching the same movie I am. I'm seeing it for the first time too." So
Keeps
anyway,
making some adjustments.
yeah. So get out and enjoy the book. We're getting some good positive reviews for it. Really, really appreciate for all those that have left the reviews and are reading it and sending me messages. That's been really, really awesome.
Hey, look, it's Keith's butt.
So, onto my trek of things that I'm watching. We just finished Alien Earth.
Mhm.
I liked Alien Earth a lot. There's already a season 2 that's been greenlit. I love Timothy Oliphant's character in it. It was just I really, really liked it a whole bunch, and I can't wait for season 2 of Alien Earth. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It was on FX, so it's now on Hulu. All the episodes are out there. Really good, really good. It really kind of seemed to me it ties in with future stuff, specifically Alien 3, where Ripley comes back as a synth, or is it 4? I think it may be 4, but anyway, it does tie into the lore. So give it a watch. I really, really enjoyed it. Still working on Rebels. I'm almost to the end of season 3. So working on that. That's been really, really good. Very surprised at how much I like that. Thrawn's in it now, and I like the Thrawn character. That's really cool. And then I pinged Zig earlier this week, and told him, and I'm really kind of excited for this. They are rebooting Buck Rogers.
Yes.
Which is going to be great. I hope. There's some, I don't have it with me and I should have written it down. There's some good minds behind it. I think it has a possibility to be very, very good. There's, of course, no release date yet because it's just now in development, but I was excited about the announcement the other day.
Did I read or you told me that Ron Moore is involved?
I don't remember if Ron Moore is involved or not. So now that we're here, I'm going to have to look it up. New Buck.
Ronald D. Moore? Yeah, he's a great writer. I love that.
It'd be great if it's Ronald D. Moore.
Cut his teeth on as one of the people in the writers' room for DS9, which
Yeah,
those guys all just went on and did everything.
It's Smokehouse Productions. George Clooney's involved in it, which Smokehouse is his production company. Script is written by Brian K. Vaughan. Zeb Wells. I don't know who Zeb Wells is. Oh, Legendary Entertainment was the overarching production company. So potential 2025 film project? Probably not. since we're almost at the end of 2025, although you listening to it now are in 2026. Hopefully 2026 is nice for you.
Yay!
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's in development, and hopefully it'll be something really cool. Because we had an episode about the original Buck Rogers on the show many moons ago. We loved it. Very definite a fan favorite from my childhood. So I hope they do something very good with this.
Yes.
So I don't have anything else. You got anything, or Zig, you ready to take us over on the nerdery side of the house?
Well, I am. I kind of want to go into the nerdery side of the house. I'm very glad that Keith is here because I'm fitting to school you guys on Axis and Allies.
Oh, are you?
You're going to school us. Okay.
Hey, remember, kids, by the Podback Machine, when we talked about how we would play these strategy board games and I would talk a whole bunch of trash and then lose? That's the kind of thing I would say. Mm-hmm. And the response was like, "Oh, really?"
That's not the kind of thing you would say. That's exactly what you said.
Okay, I got a couple of pages of facts and figures. I want to get through a little bit of that first. Axis and Allies is a series of World War II strategy board games. The first version was published in 1981, actually, and a second edition known colloquially as Axis and Allies Classic was published in 1984. Played on a board depicting a spring 1942 political map of Earth divided by territories. Players take the role of one or more of the five major belligerents of World War II, the Axis powers of Germany and Japan, and the Allied powers of the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Turns rotate among these belligerents who control armies of playing pieces, which they attempt to capture enemy territories with results determined by dice rolls. The object of the game is to win the war by capturing enough critical territories to gain the advantage over the enemy. More than 10 spin-off games have since been produced. Some of these editions are revised versions of the classic game, while others depict a specific theater, campaign, or battle of World War II. It was originally designed by Larry Harris under the prototype name 1942 in the late 1970s. In 1981, Harris partnered with a local Connecticut hobby shop, Citadel Game Store, to publish Axis and Allies under the company name of Nova Game Designs, with the name originating from Pat Flory, the owner of the shop. In 1984, the game was republished by Milton Bradley Company as part of the Game Master series of board games. This edition has been retroactively named Axis and Allies Classic to differentiate it from later revisions. Now, this is where we all picked the story up. We all were playing these Milton Bradley Master Systems, or Master Series games, or Game Master Series. Keith is the only person I know that had all five of them, because there were five.
I made it my personal mission for a while. I had to go on a road trip and sit in an auction to get, I think, broadsides and boarding parties.
Yep.
Yeah, you're the only person I've never actually seen that game anyplace else but at your house. Yeah. You still have it?
Yes.
Since we have Keith here, why don't you give us some of your ideas or thoughts about this particular game or the Game Master series in general?
Let's see. I would say that the Game Master series proved the concept that a major game publisher could produce a elaborate, high quality game with 1 million, molded plastic pieces that was at a price point significantly higher than the normal board game at the time and be successful. Axis and Allies, of those 5 original Game Master Series games, Axis and Allies, I think, was the only one that was wildly successful, but 3 or 4 of them, met with some success. I think that they were as a concept, as a group, they were a marketing success that kicked off the whole idea that you could make these prestige editions of board games, big maps, lots of pieces, very elaborate designs, and price them $30, $40, $50, $60, $70, $80 now, and people would pay that. Whereas prior to the Game Master Series games, I doubt Milton Bradley had ever made anything more expensive than, I don't know, I think Monopoly. That might be Parker Brothers. I can't recall. But, they all belong to Hasbro now, so it doesn't matter. Uh, but yeah, at the time, this would have been, the early to mid 80s, I guess. $30 for a board game was a shocking amount. And
Oh
that's how
yeah.
much, we paid for the original edition of Axis and Allies. Um, as I mentioned, I think that of the five original games, the only one that ever really like caught on fire in gaming circles was A&A.
Mhm.
I'm biased because I like all of them. But I don't think that I think that Fortress America and Shogun were
Mhm.
obviously, popular enough to deserve, reprints and revised editions later. So they must have been commercially successful.
As
Uh,
well as Conquest of the Empire. There's a version that you can buy now of
oh,
that
okay.
game.
Okay.
And
I
they
didn't
fixed the
realize they
catapult rule.
republished that. I
Yeah.
was just about to say that maybe not so much for Conquest or Broadsides and Boarding Parties because I never saw those again. But it sounds like you have, so that's cool.
Yeah. Yes, Broadsides and Boarding Parties is the only one that they have not reproduced, and probably because of all of the little intricate pieces that are a part of it. You
Yeah,
basically have
yeah.
to
Well,
build
it came
two
with
ships.
two model ships that faced each other, pirate ships with a million, little guys and masts and guns and all sorts of stuff that you had to build up on them. And it was a two-player game, which I think limited its reach, right? It's like you're gonna go to that much trouble to put something like that together. I think more than two people want to be able to be in on it.
Hmm.
Now, the nice thing about broadsides and boarding parties, different from most of these games, is that you could play a game or a round in like 30 minutes,
Hmm.
which, that's not happening with any of the others.
No, no.
Most of them are, probably, 2, 3 hour games, for most people. Um, so yeah, I've got a little soft spot in my heart for all five of the original ones, and in including broadsides and boarding parties. But I can certainly see where that would have been the least commercially, viable of the five. Um,
And it is also the hardest to obtain. Again, you can buy new copies of Shogun, which became Samurai Swords, and now Ikusa. And again, I'm not pronouncing that properly. Um, you can buy several variations of Axis and Allies. Fortress America is still being produced, um, as well as Conquest of the Empire, where there's actually a second game on the back side of the map that you could play as well.
no
And they did,
kidding.
yeah, then they did fix the catapult rule. The only problem, the map's a little bit bigger, but so are the pieces, so they still are hard to fit on the little territories.
Right, that's right. Yeah,
If you've
yeah,
got
that
an
was
old
always the
version,
problem.
it's perfect. You can use those minis on the new map, and they fit perfectly.
Yes. And did they fix the design of the little plastic catapult pieces so the little catapult arms don't break off?
Yes, 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 they did. You don't have stealth catapults anymore, where the little catapult piece
Oh,
breaks off.
I mean, stealth catapults were great, but I would rather have intact pieces in my games.
Yes, yes, they have fixed that. The new pieces are beautiful. In 1996, Axis and Allies Classic was inducted into the Academy Adventure Gaming Arts and Design Adventure Gaming Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Games Magazine was inducted has inducted Axis and Allies into the Buyer's Guide Hall of Fame. An honor the magazine extends to games that have met or exceeded the highest standards of quality and play value and have been continuously in production for at least 10 years.
Yes.
Axis and Allies Classic is the most successful of the Game Master series, as we have mentioned.
Yeah. If you want one more accolade, if you go to Board Game Geeks, I believe that Axis and Allies is #1 on their list of beer and pretzel games.
Yes, yes, it is. After acquiring Milton Bradley in Avalon Hill, Hasbro transformed the Axis and Allies Classic board game to the Milton Bradley division to the Avalon Hill division in 1999. In 1999, Hasbro acquired Wizards of the Coast. In 2004, Hasbro made Avalon Hill a subsidiary of Wizards of the Coast, and in January of 2021, after corporate restructuring, Avalon Hill became a subsidiary of Hasbro Gaming instead. In 2022, Renegade Game Studios entered a partnership with Hasbro to publish future versions of Axis and Allies, among other games, and organize an Axis and Allies World Championship, which is ongoing, and run an Axis and Allies website starting in 2023. In 2020,
by this world championship.
yes.
How much money can I win?
In 2023, the company released reprints of Axis and Allies 1914, Axis and Allies 1941, Axis and Allies 1942, and Axis and Allies 1940 Europe, 1940, and Axis and Allies 1940 Pacific, and announced a reprint of Axis and Allies Guadalcanal, as well as 2 new upcoming games, Axis and Allies North Africa and G.I. Joe Battle for the Arctic Circle, a board game centered on the G.I. Joe line of action figures that will use the Axis and Allies game engine. The mainline Axis and Allies game has gone through several revisions, most recently in 2018. Again, you've got the Renegade Studios, which are producing all of this. Now, having said that, the Axis and Allies Pacific 1940, which is now in its 2nd edition, as well as the Axis and Allies Europe 1940 2nd edition, or 1st edition. You take those 2 boards and you combine them and you have a world map. Now, here's the interesting bit about that. Again, in every iteration you can play Germany, Japan, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, or the United States. The ANA 50th Anniversary Edition, Italy is added as a 3rd Axis power and China as the 4th Allied power.
Kidding. Cool.
As well as Anzac forces and France. So in this world game, you can play France, Anzac, China, Italy, United States, United Kingdom, Soviet Union, Japan, and Germany for a 9-player game on a map that is I've got it here somewhere. Hold on, because I was looking this up just yesterday. I believe it's 70 inches by 32 inches. I was looking for the centimeters.
Hey, get your supremacy out of my Axis and Allies.
Yes, and they actually sell an even bigger map to play on, where you just buy the map. Yeah, so I wanted to play this one, but from what I understand, it takes all day to play it. It's like a 6 to 7 hour game because, again, you've got 9 players.
Again, like supremacy.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. So the reason we said that thing, now that they've revised the rules, Axis and Allies used to be about IPCs, either total war, where you completely eliminate a person. And if I'm playing a player who is getting beat up on, I believe my response is generally, fuck you, come and get me. And I will fight until I don't have any guys left. Most people are like, yeah, I think you've got this one. Now, in a lot of the revised editions, and again, you can still get the classic edition, it is not necessarily down to IPCs. What it is down to is victory cities. So you've got major cities that produce IPCs. There are 19 spinoffs and things, but the IPCs, I believe, oh God, I know I've got it in here. I put too many notes in this thing. I believe they said it's like 23 cities. So you've got, it's not just the major industrial centers. You've also got like Shanghai and Honolulu and Paris, and they're all of these.
I think Manila's in there too.
Yeah, Manila is also in there.
Just to add a little context, in the original version of the game, there were only 5 cities, and they were the capitals of the major powers. Yes. And those were, if you wanted to take somebody out of the game, you took their capital.
Yeah,
that was the only city aspect of it.
And in the original game, there were 2 ways to win. You either took, for the Allies, both capitals. For the Axis, I think they only had to take 2 of the 3.
Two of the 3, that's correct.
Or Germany or the Allies got to a certain IPC, Industrial Production Certificate,
generation
that number
per
would
turn.
Be 84.
Which which we debated for a very long time. And we finally decided one day to play it out that if one side or the other got to that 84 and we tried to continue the game because we're like, oh no, bullshit, they still could have won. We played it out. Once they get to that much production, you can't win. You
Yeah,
can't
it's all
win
over.
against them.
It's game over.
They're
literally.
producing entirely too much shit.
Yeah.
They have released Axis and Allies D-Day, which is where you're trying to take Cherbourg, Caen, and St. Lo, Axis and Allies Guadalcanal, Axis and Allies the Battle of the Bulge, and most recently, as of August of this year, or 2025, Axis and Allies Stalingrad was just released by Renegade Games.
And they're also Axis and Allies Zombies.
Yes, there's the Axis and Allies and Zombies, which I have played. It's real hard for the zombies not to win on that game.
But that one's not. It's not like one of the licensed Avalon Hill games, right? It's like an add-on or something.
Yeah, it's made by Renegade Studios, who's doing all of them now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have it right over here. It's right here behind me. The 1914 game, I know, forces you to basically go into trench warfare, which, from what I understand, is a slugfest.
Yeah.
They have revised it because it is such a pain, but it's like an 8-9 hour game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with the Victory Cities, it made it a little more balanced, because usually the way we always played it, we'd make Keith and Jeff play the Axis because it was balanced toward the Allies, and Keith and Jeff would had played it more than us. So now,
you made us play on opposite sides.
Well, I think first it was you and I like to buddy up as the Axis, and then later, when it became more obvious that they would never beat us when we did that, they made us play on opposite sides.
So do you want to know why they would never beat us? I've got the reason.
Why?
Because
just
we're
aside
awesome
from
and
our
they suck.
Superiority.
Thank you. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Again, I would like to get you guys around for a game now, because especially with the newer rules, it is a little more balanced now. It's not, and like the rule for economic bombing. The way economic bombing used to work is what you would do is you would send you develop these super bombers, and they'd go and they'd steal all of the other units' IPCs. That's not how that works anymore. What happens is when you hit them with...
Fine point on that real quick. You did not have to have super bombers to do that. You could send normal bombers.
No.
Right. No. But it was when you got the heavy bombers that suddenly you could wreak havoc.
What it does, because you do not take IPCs from another character unless you capture their capital. What happens now is when you hit that industrial complex's ability to make a certain amount of IPCs worth of products is lowered. But you can't
that really makes more sense. If you think about it, that makes more sense.
Right.
And you can't take them down below 3. So they can always make one guy. But then they can spend IPCs to repair them.
The note I've got here, because it's in the rules, for during strategic bombing, you can only lose IPCs from that industrial complex, and the most you can ever lose is double the amount of the territory value.
Oh, that's
which comes out to it will never be less than 3.
Yeah, because you remember it. I mean, when you had heavy bombers in the original game, you're rolling 3 red dice for how many IPCs that power is going to lose. You could take theoretically 18 IPCs from somebody.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But
that's basically wrecking their economy for the next turn.
But the other thing with strategic bombing that changed, instead of rolling 3 dice, you now only roll 2.
Yeah.
For the heavy bombers.
Yeah. And they can add they don't add anti-aircraft guns, but or the anti-aircraft gun now belongs to the factory itself. The other anti-aircraft gun is actually separate, so you get 2 shots. And you can build other artillery that can also hit airplanes. So you get more than one shot at each plane. So
One
it
thing
really
that
kind
I
of
always
balances
thought
it out.
was kind of messed up about that is that you could only buy one anti-aircraft unit, placement per territory. And
Yeah.
these territories are enormous, right? They're
Yeah.
like the east coast of the United States and the west coast of the United States were each one
Yeah.
territory, right?
And that's like,
And
yeah, that's like 1,500 miles.
right. And it's like, okay, I ought to be able to pile up like 100 anti-aircraft guns on a space if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But no, that was not in the rules.
I'm not
So
seeing that
yeah,
our
so I'm happy to see that now a production center inherently includes its own anti-aircraft, which it
Yeah.
should.
And then
And
you
then you
can
can
get,
also supplement that with another one, if I'm understanding what you're saying, right?
yes.
so I'm not seeing that artillery can attack aircraft, seeing that's only for infantry.
Is it only for infantry?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Well, I thought I was looking at where you could get some anti-aircraft. I may have been wrong. I was kind of,
No, there's rockets that you can add to your anti-aircraft that can be used for strategic uh for IPC reduction. And that's a research you can do.
um, I do know that it's more balanced towards, it's more balanced. I don't necessarily say towards the Axis. I think it's just more balanced in general. Plus, they've
I
redrawn the
will say
map.
that it seems very unlikely that you're going to hit a bomber with a 110 millimeter shell.
Right. And I'm not seeing that the industrial complex gets its own AA cannon. I'm not seeing
I
that.
just read that. Where did I put that note?
Ziggy's making up rules
I'm
again.
not making up rules. I just read that like the other day. Um,
I'll go to combat. I'll see what it says in combat.
well, you might even check Renegade Studios website because I was looking on that the other day, which is also where we got some of the videos explaining some of the new rules and things like that. It's it's not it's not the same because our problem when we would play it is it would come down to the Allies are going to win. You just try to play as the Axis as hard as you can. Every once in a while, the Axis might win, but the game was slated for the Allies to win. It would go
Yes,
out just like World War II, unless you
it
got a
was
very
balanced
lucky
for
ass.
the Allies to win, everything else being equal.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
But
It's not
then
necessarily
again,
the
when we
case now.
played the Axis, everything wasn't equal.
So it's a little easier now. And I can't say the zombies game. The game is designed for the zombies to win because every time you lose an infantry, it becomes a zombie and you have to turn around and immediately fight it.
Damn. Yeah. That's the problem with zombies. Everywhere you go.
And if at one point the zombies control a certain percentage, the game is over and you have zombie world. So I can't remember who was playing who, but it came down to the point of we were trying to bomb cities to stop the zombies from taking over.
That's
Like
the
bombing
other
our
thing
own
you got to do.
capitals.
So yeah, next time you and I make a road trip down to Geoffrey's, we need to take that game
Yes.
because not only have I never played it, I've never even seen it. So I would love to lay my hands on this.
Oh, please.
He's not going to be able to hold it now.
It's showing me the box doesn't help me anything.
You see the box online. Showing it doesn't mean he can hold it now. We've all
It's probably
seen
not even
the
gonna
box.
let. Yeah, it's not
No,
even gonna let you
can't
see it.
We've seen the box.
Nice.
Some other things I was seeing as I was going through this. There are now two research charts, each with their own individual things. So now what they've added since we played, you have, and I'm going right back up to it, advanced artillery, which give an attack value of 2 instead of 1.
Nice.
Rockets, which are for the anti-aircraft gun, do IPC damage. Paratroopers come out of bombers. Increased factory production. So if you have increased factory production, each of your industrial complexes can now produce 2 additional units beyond the listed IPC value. For example, Germany with 10 IPCs can now produce 12 units. War bonds gives you the ability to roll a 1d6 at the income phase, and you collect that many additional IPCs. And then mechanized infantry, so that they can move like a tank. And then everything else was the same. Wait.
Yeah, I'm looking at the old version here, and I've got the ones that I remember: jet power rockets, super subs, long range
Mhm.
aircraft, industrial tech, and heavy bombers. That's what was in the original game. I
Yep.
but believe I remember that was the stuff that we had back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've
And
also added some more pieces like destroyers. Destroyers negate the sub's ability to run away.
Oh
The
no,
destro-
I know what's new here. So in the old game, we had super subs, jet fighters, um, the improved. No, we had the improved shipyards. I just don't remember radar, but it may have been
radar
there.
does not sound familiar to me.
But we definitely had long range aircraft, heavy bombers. I don't remember what radar was, which your anti-aircraft gun fire now hits on a one or a two instead of just a one, which seems to say, oh, the advanced artillery is different because it's for the different pieces. Because you have artillery and uh,
Anti-aircraft
anti-aircraft now because they've added in artillery.
destroyers, like Zig said, I know are new.
Destroyers. You get
Cruisers.
cruisers and battleships take 2 hits now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember that. I've
And
played that. It's like at some point I must have, played some hybrid where we incorporated some of these new rules.
we did because we talked about the whole battleship thing that what you did is when you hit the battleship, you lay it on its side to show
Yeah.
that it's been damaged and
Yeah, and it
so on
moves
and so forth.
slower and it can't attack or something, and then you got to get it back to a coast and
Yeah,
spend
it's
some amount of money to fix it.
that's
Something like
exactly
that.
how it works. Yeah. That's all been incorporated into the main rule set.
Yeah.
They don't give you as many, they don't give you more pieces, but you do get more chips now.
Oh, well, that's good.
And again, you can buy as many as you want and use as many chips as you want. But again, the problem is you've only got so much space.
Yeah.
With the big expanded maps, the maps are bigger now. Instead of it being a trifold, it's like a quadrifold.
Right.
And again, if you get the 19 Europe 1940 and Pacific 1940, you can combine those two for a 70 by 32 inch map.
The other thing I don't
Bigger map as
remember,
well.
this says transports have an attack of 0 and a defense of 0. I thought transports had a defense of 1. Did they
I
not?
think so.
But they
No.
don't now. In the new rules, it's 0. They are just
Yes, but you have to hit the combat. The way I understand it, you have to hit the combat ships before you hit a transport. So if a transport it's by itself, you can go and attack the transport.
yes.
How-
It's chosen last. Transports may only be chosen as a casualty if there are no other eligible units.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe that's different because I think that a viable strategy we used to use was you would take an attack fleet with a bunch of transports come along to soak hits.
Uh-huh.
Right? Am I remembering that correctly?
No,
You are
you're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
So that rule makes sense to me. I mean, I think that's a good balancing change.
I think they've made the costs a little easier now. Some of the costs are different. Like some things are a little more expensive, and some things are a little less expensive. So it's easier to get battleships into the game or aircraft carriers, from what I understand. But I needed a side by side comparison.
No, it absolutely is because I know for a fact the cost of battleships used to be 24 IPCs and this has 20.
Interesting. So, yeah, the real killer, though, was the cost of both the carrier and the 2 fighters to sit on the carrier was enormous. It was something like 40 IPC combined.
Yeah.
And so if you had that, if you could roll across the Pacific with that, you were badass.
However, if I remember right, in the rules we played, if you had fighters sitting on that deck, it could not participate in the battle. And in these rules, it can.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
It's interesting. I don't remember that.
Yes. If it's being attacked, the fighters can be launched from the carrier, and the carrier itself can participate in the battle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So they've made the rules a little. They're a little less restrictive now, but it doesn't make the game any less accurate or fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think you just hit on an important point right there is that, there's been, lots of, old grognard, cardboard chiclet World War II games since, I guess, World War II.
Yes.
But Axis and Allies, to me, hit that a really good balance of accuracy and complexity and fun that you didn't have unless because the all those old Avalon Hill games, they
Mhm.
were long and complex to the point
Hmm.
of not being any fun for a casual gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Axis and Allies did, I think, is they brought some of that complexity to a board game that casual gamers could get into and enjoy.
Yeah. In our YouTube playlist, I have uh, some of the viewings of or some reporting of the World Championships. So if you're interested in that, sir,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I'm rusty. I probably have not played. I probably have not opened an Axis and Allies box in 10 years.
Well, Rusty, we need to play.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. So
Oh,
hop,
yeah.
Zig, hop in
Speaking
the
of
car,
being,
start heading south,
yeah.
and let's play.
So speaking of being rusty, right? I was in some board game thread on Reddit a while back, and it was something having to do with, what's your board game flex, right?
Mhm.
And my board game flex was there was a time in the past when I could set up an entire Axis and Allies game from memory.
Mhm.
Which, if you've played the game, if you know, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have
Everybody
done
kind
it
of has a
too.
little card with how you set up, and it's like 3 pieces here, 5 pieces here, three
Well,
pieces, and
and
everybody's
that
doing it at the
was
same time.
Yeah.
the thing that we had talked about over the years is doing variants of this because Keith and I'm not being egotistic about this at all, even though I am an egotist. I know I am. Keith and I were
You
very,
no.
yeah, right. Keith and I were very, very good at this game. Why were we very good at this game? He and I played this together a lot.
A lot.
I mean, in the middle of the night, his poor mom having to get up and work in the morning, and we're sitting in her living room playing A&A at their dining room table. We played this a lot. We knew the strategies. We knew just about every strategy you could possibly use in this game, and so we had to come up with other things. And we talked about um, the, the way the whole game was set up is you are told what units to place in what territories before you start the game, and we talked about
Oh
instead give
yeah.
the player that amount of IPCs and let them place as they wanted with the limitation you could only place double the amount of the IPC value of the territory in any one territory.
Yeah.
We talked about doing blind A&A, where we couldn't see the movement of the enemies. We would have to send out spies
Yeah.
to get. So you had to have two
Which
boards
requires 2 boards and 1 marshal.
and one
Yeah,
marshal.
yeah,
Right, you
you
had
had
to
to
have
have
a
a
marshal go
marshal. I
between.
think that was we that always jammed us up. I don't think we ever did it because we couldn't find somebody that would be the marshal.
Yeah, because play. So we played this and played this over the years. We played so many uh different directions. We took different people. You've got different strategies in the game. You've got Fortress Russia, where Russia is just going to be a pain soaker, and so you just suck everything into the actual territory of Russia and build Fortress Russia, and let the Germans pound away at them. While Britain and America get into the game and start economic bombing, there was those strategies.
Oh, we
Taking
tried
over,
everything. We had all
yeah,
kinds of crazy trial and error. Let's see what happens when we do it this way. Trying to change that fundamental balance that, made
yeah,
it so difficult, for one or
Germany and
two
Russia
of us
against
to
the
win.
world.
yeah.
Germany and
Um,
Russia against the world.
it
I'd
was a
like to see how
fun
that plays
game.
out.
It was a very, very, very fun game. We played it many, many times over the years, with several different people who joined in throughout times. Don, I don't think liked Axis and Allies
He
much.
did. Yeah.
He didn't like. He liked Fortress America. He didn't like
Mhm.
Axis and Allies much. I thought Axis and Allies was great. I had a I was actually playing it one time in Phoenix when I was staying at my grandparents' house, and a friend came over and we were playing it. And a friend of my grandfather's came over and looked, said, what are you playing there? And I said, we're playing Axis and Allies. It's a board game about World War II. And he's like, oh, well, which side are you playing? And I said, oh, I'm playing the Germans. And he said, do you not understand that the Germans had these horrible internment camps and blah, blah, blah? And I said, huh? So did we. And he said, no, we did not. And I said,
Manzanar.
I'm going to point this direction, and there's Luke Air Force Base just up the road. That was a Japanese American internment camp during World War II. And he goes, no, you're wrong. Got mad at me and left.
Man.
So,
I mean, he did have. I mean, there was a vast difference between Japanese American internment camps and Jewish
we were still very bad to the Japanese Americans in the internment camps here, and there is a vast difference. But we did have internment camps here.
Yes.
So there was some on both sides, but it was such a fun game. He's absolutely right. There was a time period where I knew where everything would start. I did not need the whole little setup sheet. I knew what was going to start where. No matter what power I played, I knew what my first moves were going to be. Knew the directions I'm going to take, because that's just how the game was. And it was fun though. It was fun. It was a blast.
The original, the thing I loved best about the original game design, you had these little styrofoam containers, right, where you kept all your pieces in. On top of them, you had a little card that was for each one of the units. When you laid them out properly, they completely covered the bottom of the box, and then you put the board on top of that and some rules and other things on it. Right? So these little containers were perfectly matched, and the card that was on top of them told you where you put your guys, and it also gave you a rundown of who went first, who went second, and what you did in a battle order. Yeah. Best design ever.
Yeah, if I can just elaborate on that a little bit, what we're talking about here is a tray with cutouts that was sized for each of the different groups of pieces. So you could actually store all your pieces, separately from each other, each type of unit. And it's like when we first saw that was like, it was revolutionary, right? It was like none of us had ever seen that in a game, in a mass-produced game before.
No.
That level of sort of design, not just of the pieces themselves, but of like the whole game experience.
Yes. Yeah, because again, you took the little cardboard piece that perfectly matched that little tray, and it made basically a flat piece that completely encompassed the board. It was just, what an amazing design. And to me, no one's ever done it that well since. You know what I mean?
I can't think of another game. I want to say the other Game Master games all had some sort of variation on that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, none of them were as good as A&A.
No. And the other Game Master games did it well, a lot better than some other games that are being made now.
Oh, yeah.
Including my Axis and Allies and Zombies that is not set up that way.
Well, I imagine some of that's got to be a cost-cutting measure, right? It's like, stuff has gotten so much more expensive now that at some point, I mean, I don't have all my economics right in front of me right now, but, what's $30, today in, $1985, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's $100. And so you've got, people cutting corners now to try to keep at a reasonable price point. And so things like, the little molded styrofoam trays had to go, whatever.
$10 in 1985 is $30.11 today. So you said $30. So yeah, 90.
Yeah.
90 and 33 cents.
So yeah, say that eliminating those styrofoam trays, those molded styrofoam trays saved him 33 cents.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, I digress.
That's okay. So yeah, this actually closes out something that we started in the second episode of this, and that was to talk about all 5 of the Game Master series. We've done it.
Wait, did I miss? Was there a Broadsides and Boarding Parties one?
Yeah, long time ago. Long time.
Where was I, you fuckers?
You were busy.
Yeah, you were busy.
You were busy.
I mean, it seems like as the person who owns the only copy of that game that you have ever seen, you
Uh-huh.
would include me in that.
Yeah, but I
We
think I may
held-
be the
we
person who
held this
played
one.
with you the most because I liked it.
We held this one for you,
Yes.
Okay. Fine.
so deal with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Is there
ma'am.
anything else you want to say about Axis and Allies while we're talking about it?
Only that I would credit Axis and Allies with sort of the strength and cohesion of the gaming group that we had for so long. So in that regard, I would say Axis and Allies actually contributed something pretty significant to my life.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so sweet.
Gets my ass
Oh, sorry. Had a little hairball in my mouth there. So awesome. Great talk. I love that we finished out the Game Master series. We love talking about games, all kinds of different games. Uh, there's so much fun, and Keith was absolutely right. This is another one of those that really help bond a very cohesive group of people together. There's other games as well, but this was a major player in it. Um, very, very late nights sometimes playing this because it's just like our show. We would get to gaming no matter what the game, and we just get into so many different random topics. And 2 hours later is about when somebody goes, "Where were we?
Oh my
Well,
God.
whose turn was
Whose
it?"
fucking turn is this?
Yeah. Can I go off on a tangent for just a moment?
Sure.
You
Please.
remember the window of opportunity when we would be gaming when we would I guess this was typically an RPG thing, right? Yes. And Ziggy's making the hand signal for the window of opportunity going by as we would stand out on the patio and all you dirty fuckers would smoke. And we would be like it would be like 30-45 minutes before we went back in and started gaming again.
So one time, and I don't remember if it was Access and Allies or Fortress America. It was one of the two. But we were playing in an apartment, and it was a group of us, and it got hot. So we opened up the front door, and about, I don't know, 3:30 in the morning, we're all like, man, I need to take just a 20-minute nap before we continue because it had just dragged and dragged and dragged. And we all just pretty much laid our head down where we were with an open door in this apartment complex. And at one point, two guys, I guess, coming home from their night at a bar, were walking by and they stopped back in. And all we heard them say is, my God, it looks like a murder scene in there.
That was Tina's apartment, incidentally.
Yes. So we had some great times with this. It was a lot of fun. So get out there, check this game out, try it, play it, love it, learn it. So with that, thank you, Zig. We will step over to the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
For today, I got my information off Medium, CBC News, and News Australia, and this is the story of the murder of Nicole Porcello.
Nicole Porcello.
Porcello.
Nicole Porcello.
And this is a case that turned out to be far from as simple as when it first happened. It took place in Canada, and it immediately attracted public attention because of its unusual deployment. Nicole Porcello, who was also known by the last name of Hasselman, was a 34-year-old woman. She was said to have a kind heart and endless patience. She worked in the student support services at Templeton Secondary School. And really for many children who were kind of lost getting their way in life, she was more than an assistant. She really became a mentor. And for her, working at the school became more than a job. It was a second home for her, a place where she had friendship, genuine support. Her colleagues saw her as a source of inspiration. They said she was always responsive and ready to help, and she had earned the friendship of teachers, administrators, and school staff. She was able to connect with even the most difficult teenagers, and her coworkers valued her not only for her professionalism, but for the simple human warmth she shared with everyone around her. Outside of work, Nicole raised her son, who was 10 years old in 2018. Like his mother, he was a sensitive and kind child, and Nicole skillfully balanced her career and motherhood, putting her heart into both. She tried to be an example for him, which was a person who always opens their heart to the world and makes it a little better. Unfortunately, on January 16th, 2018, that became the day that forever changed the lives of Nicole and her family and friends. The Burnaby police reported that an accident involving a gray 2017 Kia Sorento SUV occurred on November 16th, on January 16th around 10 p.m. On a section of Barnett Highway. Emergency services arrived at the scene, and in the flashing emergency lights, there was a crumpled body that looked even more sinister. After colliding with a pole, the car with the man strapped inside, rescuers quickly cordoned off the area, working together with police and medics. They knew that time was not on their side. So they started using special equipment to crack through the metal of the car. Inside the car, the man remained motionless while medics stood ready to help as soon as rescuers freed him from the car. Finally, after several minutes, the rescue commander gave the signal that the victim could be extracted, and he was carefully removed from the vehicle and handed over to the medics. They immediately began first aid, assessing his condition, and once they were certain his condition was stable, they placed him in the ambulance and began their trips to the nearest hospital where he could receive more specialized treatment. The man was identified as John Jan Poppel. Jan was his nickname. When he was brought to the hospital, doctors conducted a full examination to rule out hidden injuries. They recorded several bruises and mild concussion, but no serious damage. He was stable and his life was out of danger. And then after receiving treatment, he remained under observation for full recovery. So John was a real estate agent, and according to rumors, struggled with substance addiction, and he was in a relationship with Nicole Porcello.
Was John a real estate novelist?
He was not a real estate novelist. Thank you, Billy Joel. His relationship with Nicole began, like many, with romance, deep feelings, mutual understanding. They dreamed of a future together, made plans, and shared their thoughts. It seemed as though fights just passed them by, and each day brought more joy in their company. However, over time, John began to display traits Nicole could no longer ignore. At first, his desire to control her seemed like care, but soon turned into obsessive mania. He claimed he was protecting her from negative outside influences, gradually distancing herself from her friends and family, and this would escalate into checking her phone and social media accounts. He soon stopped hiding his regression. Each new conflict strengthened his desire to dominate, and Nicole found herself in a psychological trap from which it was not easy to escape. One day, he pushed her in the chest so hard that she was in pain for several weeks. Their relationship would last for 7 years, and despite the pain and fear that gradually filled their life, Nicole continued to believe John's sweet promises that everything would change. He swore he would find the strength to become better and become once again the loving, reliable partner he had been in the beginning. These were the promises that kept Nicole from leaving him for good, even though deep down she understood John's behavior was unlikely to ever change. They had broken up several times, but each time John asked for another chance and Nicole gave it to him. Their final breakup, which Nicole considered definitive, occurred 9 days before the accident, but John was not ready to accept the separation. He didn't want to let Nicole go and was extremely jealous, and so he parked his car near her house and posted compromising photos of her. So when John was pulled out of the car after the accident, police began interviewing witnesses and examining the crash site, trying to reconstruct the chain of events that led to the collision. And then after completing their work, the firefighters started to clean up their equipment. But then one of the officers made a discovery that in a ditch, just 9 yards or 9 meters from the car, lay a woman unconscious but alive, and this was Nicole. She was taken to the hospital, and doctors did everything possible. And unfortunately, they couldn't save her. A few days later, police released a statement that said, quote, a 34-year-old teaching assistant mother who died after an SUV crash in Burnaby last week has sustained injuries indicative of a violent death. The man was expected to make a full recovery, but the woman had injuries that pointed to a criminal act. The autopsy on Nicole's body was performed at the forensics laboratory just hours after her death. The pathologist, who had many years of service, noticed numerous wounds covering her body. And using the forensics instruments, he carefully and methodically examined and recorded all of her injuries. Some wounds were deep and inflicted with considerable force, and others were more superficial, which showed possible signs of a struggle. All told, there were stab wounds on her body that counted to the number of 47, and the wounds had been inflicted with 2 different knives. During this analysis, the forensic
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're telling me is it's looking a lot like this dude beat her and stabbed her and killed her and then got into a car accident to make it look like her injuries were sustained in a car accident.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make
Yep.
sure that I was on that page. Thank you. Please continue.
During the analysis, the forensic specialist not only documented the physical injuries, but also searched for possible traces that could shed light on the circumstances of the death. For instance, the absence of defensive wounds on her hands could indicate a sudden attack or that the victim had been restrained. He understood that his conclusions would help law enforcement find the perpetrator and bring justice. After completing the autopsy, all the findings and observations were compiled into an official report, which was a document that became not only a formality, but a key element in a murder investigation, providing investigators with vital information to continue their work. So after her death, her friends, family, friends, and colleagues, of course, were plunged into a sea of grief. Everyone knew that Nicole felt as the world. Everyone who knew Nicole felt as if the world had stopped. It was unbearable for her family to realize they would never again be able to hug their beloved mother, daughter, and sister, to hear her voice or share new memories that could have been. Nicole's friends lost someone close, and they couldn't stop thinking about how hard she had worked to rebuild her life and start over and to fight for her happiness. The emptiness left after her death was almost tangible, and each new workday reminded her coworkers of exactly what they had lost. Her optimism in pursuit of excellence inspired many, but her sudden passing made people reflect on how fragile life is and the importance of being attentive to one another. Carmine Porcello doesn't think he'll ever get used to his younger sister's absence. He said, quote, "When you sit down for a family dinner, it's not hard to notice. It's hard not to notice that her seat is empty where she was supposed to be, and she no longer is." So 13 days after Nicole's death, on November 29th, 2018, John Popple was arrested. The police appealed to the public for any information that could assist in the investigation. They said, quote, 13 days ago, Nicole Hasselman was involved in a car accident and her injuries raised suspicion. She later died in the hospital, and I have led this investigation. Yesterday, November 29th, 31-year-old John Popple was arrested and has since been charged with second-degree murder in connection with the death of Nicole Hasselman. Today, he is scheduled to appear before a judge. This was an isolated incident, and those involved knew each other. There is no threat to public safety. Our detectives have worked diligently to gather and secure all the evidence necessary to support the charge, and today's outcome would not have been possible without their tireless support. We understand this is an extremely difficult time for Nicole Hasselman family, her friends, and everyone whose life she touched. We hope we have been able to provide some answers to her family's questions. There is always a possibility that some people with information have not yet come forward, and we recognize that. And that is why I stand here today, reaching out to anyone who may have just learned about this case. Please contact us. We're always ready to speak with those who have information about our investigation. Mouthful there.
Yes.
So they had to reconstruct the timeline of events because this would become a key aspect in the investigation. It allowed investigators to gather all the available data and trace how events unfolded and when exactly they occurred. This helped expose inconsistencies in John's statements and analyze his behavior, because every minute could matter in understanding what led to Nicole's death. Detectives meticulously reviewed surveillance footage, phone records, and text messages between Nicole and John. And this data provided the clearest picture of where Nicole was at any given moment, who she communicated with, and what was happening to her. And the chronology also played an essential role in building the case against John. Without concrete evidence of his involvement in the incident, collected in strict chronological order, it would have been very difficult to convince the court of his guilt. As mentioned earlier, Nicole and John's relationship lasted 7 years, alternating between breakup and reconciliations. However, the chain of events that led to Nicole's death began unfolding 9 days before the crash. This was when Nicole told John their relationship was over and began communicating with another man, which reportedly triggered intense jealousy in John. So on the evening of November 16th, he picked Nicole up in a rented car while her son was at hockey practice, and an argument broke out. John pulled out 2 kitchen knives and began stabbing Nicole, who was sitting in the passenger seat. He then removed his bloodstained jacket, took out his phone, and started recording a video. He tried to save her life at this point, she was trying to save her life at this point, and Nicole tried to convince John that she had loved him, but he showed no trace of sympathy, saying she deserved to be stabbed because he couldn't bear the thought that she had found somebody else. John then drove home, leaving Nicole in the car, and sent several letters, including a resignation notice from his job. Nicole remained in the car for 2 hours while John sent emails, paid bills, and even ordered a TV and dishwasher online. He then returned to the rental car. He found that Nicole was still alive. It's believed that he planned to stage a car accident to make it appear she had died in the crash. John accelerated the car and slammed into a lamppost at full speed, causing Nicole, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, to be thrown from the vehicle. So there you go. Based on the collected evidence, John Popple was charged with murder. The trial began in 2020 and lasted several months, which of course became another ordeal for Nicole's family and friends. During these proceedings, the court was shown the video John had filmed on his phone right after stabbing Nicole. Before playing the footage, the judge warned the courtroom it would be disturbing and offered anyone unprepared the opportunity to leave. It was a full 1-minute video which showed Nicole struggling to breathe, and John sat beside her and said that she disrespected him. Instead of calling for an ambulance, John, still being jealous and bitter, blamed Nicole for what happened. He said, quote, "You just took and took without respecting me for months and years." Nicole's father would end up leaving the courtroom during the video screening. John Popple just sat with his head down while Nicole's brother Carmine shouted at him, quote, "Watch the video, lift your head." The judge, understanding how painful it was to watch, announced a 15-minute recess. And after the video presentation, Nicole's father and brother, along with family members, delivered emotional victim impact statements. His father described Nicole as a beautiful soul and the rock of the family. He then addressed John directly and said, quote, "You destroyed our family. We can never forgive you." Her brother admitted that the crime had turned his life into a living nightmare, and he was overwhelmed with anger and rage. The prosecutor, Jacqueline Madden, also read other statements, including words from Nicole's son, who said he had lost his best friend and a piece of his heart, along with his mother. In the ruling, the judge described Popple's actions as heartless, cruel, and selfish, but also noticed that he had expressed remorse. But Nicole's father, Joe, disagreed, saying, quote, "It didn't move me one bit, because if he really felt remorse, there would have been at least one tear in his eye. He would have shown some emotion. The last time he appeared in court, he looked like he had just come for lunch." John Popple ended up pleading guilty to second-degree murder, which automatically carries a life sentence. The only question was how many years must pass before he could apply for parole. The prosecution argued for a minimum of 15 years, while his defense sought 10. Neither of these options satisfied Nicole's family, which I can understand. Given Popple's history of violent and jealous behavior towards Nicole, her cousin Gina believes that he should have been convicted of first-degree murder, which would have excluded the possibility of parole for 25 years. And she said, quote, "I don't think any sentence will ever be enough, but if the maximum of 25 years, that's what he should get. He's not even 40, and at worst, he could be free by 50 or 55. That's unacceptable." Before the sentencing, Nicole's family and friends did launch a social media campaign. Gina said, quote, "We can't allow people like this to walk the streets. We can't set a precedent where such a brutal act results in lenient sentencing that makes these crimes seem acceptable." In his statement to the court and to Nicole's family, Popple did express regret and remorse, saying, quote, "I've waited a long time for this moment to say how deeply sorry I am." So in April of 2021, John Popple was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Again, his family said this was far too lenient. They told reporters outside the courthouse that there was no justice in this country. Nicole's cousin Gina expressed her disappointment with the verdict, saying, quote, "In 15 years, he could be free again. Is that really the message we want to send to our society? If we had done something in advance of this, Nicole would still be here because we would have seen the behaviors that Jan excluded and brought us to this situation today." This brings me to an all too familiar theme, and the reason I keep telling these type of stories. If you see something, say something. It pains me deeply every time I read these stories where the tragedy was avoidable. Again, I am not victim shaming whatsoever. I am simply advocating we do not sit there in silence. Recognize the signs and say something, do something. If you suspect abuse in any form, you have to speak up. You have to offer help. Get them out of the environment no matter what. You might just save a life. And that's the story of Nicole Porcello.
Why, thank you for that, sir.
I hate that I have to keep saying that, but it's so true. We have to be, as a society, be willing to step in if we see a situation that we think someone is very vulnerable. If we see a situation where somebody is potentially facing abuse and trauma in their life, we have to be able to step in as a society. But that's my 2 cents on that. All right, good times. Everybody's quiet.
Yay.
All right. Well, that will take us to the end of another recording week. As always, you will find more about us on nerderyandmurdery.com, our website, our hub. That's where you'll find links to everything, pictures, as well as a link to our YouTube page, which Zig so often updates.
Yes, definitely check this one out because I've got examples of basically the new rules of Access Analysis, a little 10-minute thing, as well as some playthroughs with interviews with Larry Harris on all of the variations in that list.
Great. Thank you for all your work on that.
Thank you, sir.
You can also find the link to our merchandise page, or if you wish to show off your Nerdery and Murdery fandom, please do consider that. That along with our patrons, there is the link to our Patreon on our page. Our patrons and our purchases of merchandise help with the costs that are associated with this show. It's not free. There are costs for our uploads and our storage and our website and everything that goes along with getting this on the air so that you can enjoy it each and every week. So we do appreciate each and every one of you.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. You can also do something for free. You can leave a 5-star review wherever you can. It really helps us and helps others find our content that may be looking for the information we discuss. And finally, last but not least, Chuck, you can go to sleep now.
Good night, Chuck.
Keith, thank you for being along with us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been great.
Awesome. With that,
I have been Zig with your nerdery.
and I'm Geoffrey with your murdering. He doesn't know.
Cue the music.